Good Monday morning. It is November 3rd. It is Monday. I'm meteorologist Craig Moeller, joined by Marta Berglund, one of our anchors here at 13 News Now. And you've been keeping an eye on traffic all morning. It has been a wet one across the region.
Yeah, we've been busy pretty much all morning long with that consistent rain. So even if it lightens up, we may still encounter those wet roads today.
Yeah, there's still some damp spots out there. I want to run through our weather headlines, and then we're going to hear from you. We'll let you get into what's going on across the area. Let's take a look at the topics we're going to be tackling here from the weather desk. It's a wet start to the week for the Mid-Atlantic. Updates on Melissa's impacts on Jamaica. We're going to dive in with more information coming out of Jamaica. So we'll address our wet weather here, talk about Melissa and Jamaica some more as we get some more information coming in. There was a large earthquake overnight in Afghanistan. We'll show you what's going on in the northern part of Afghanistan. We're also going to talk about heating systems. Here we are into November. Temperatures really start coming down. We're coming into the cool months. And it's kind of interesting. Ginger Z did a story on some of the different heating systems and their impacts on climate and climate change. So we'll talk some more about that. And then we have your election day forecast. Big election day in Virginia, but other parts of the country as well. So I've got the national outlook. We'll let you know which parts of the country may have some impacts for some of their elections. And then we've got the week ahead. Plenty to talk about on the weather desk. But first things first, it has been a wet start to the week in Hampton Roads. We have been dealing with rain. We still have chances this morning. We're not done yet. Take a look at the conditions on Interstate 264 during the morning commute around 7 o'clock. And Marta Berglund's now joining us here this morning on the weather desk. How are things looking now, Marta? I know we had some issues earlier.
Yeah, still tracking issues throughout the region. The bottom line is prepare for delays this morning because even after the rain stops, you'll likely still encounter those wet roads, maybe some standing water and maybe some leaves on the roads as well as we start to see those stripped from the trees. Speaking of I-264, that is the one lingering incident we're seeing as the morning commute is wrapping up this morning. So for eastbound drivers near Independence Boulevard, you will see delays at this time, basically stretching all the way back to the 64 interchange. Want to give you the latest live look at the crash scene. They've opened up more lanes. We still do have one blocked off at the site of the crash, so watch for delays there. But want to take you all the way back near the 64 interchange and Newtown Road, where you can see those westbound delays are already in place. So recommend Virginia Beach Boulevard once again for drivers heading towards Virginia Beach at this time. Otherwise, around the region, we've seen some incidents on 264 near the downtown tunnel and Berkeley Bridge this morning. Nothing too severe right now. You can see those roads are still wet, so you may encounter some visibility issues. Berkeley Bridge is set to open at 9 o'clock, so you'll likely see delays in the area for the next 10 or 15 minutes. But we've been tracking the roads all throughout the morning. Hopefully, with that rain dying down, things improve out there, Craig.
And things will be improving pretty quickly here, Marta. Thanks for your update. You can see we're still looking at light to moderate rain here across southern parts of Chesapeake and Virginia Beach, northern parts of North Carolina. These areas down south of Elizabeth City through Edenton, they have been in severe drought. They needed this rain, and Elizabeth City's gotten well over an inch of rain around that area. We'll get into some specifics in a little bit. You'll notice the rain extends up in the peninsula as well. We'll take a little closer look. Dismal Swamp, light rain here against southern parts of Chesapeake, southern Virginia Beach, also seeing areas of rain south of 264 out around Back Bay. You can see the wet weather for Sandbridge down through Knott's Island. We've seen some scattered showers down along the Outer Banks. It was heavier early. In fact, this morning when I came in, there's actually a flood advisory down for Hatteras. So that area is seeing some heavier rain earlier, but it's just light right now. As we turn our attention up to the peninsula here, you'll notice some heavier activity right here. We could do a real quick cross section of that and take a look at how high those tops are. And they've only been around 15, 16,000 feet. A lot of that precipitation. Now, the clouds are a little bit higher, but the core of precipitation, it's not very high. These are not towering thunderstorms that are producing these super heavy downpours, but we have seen a few moderate rain cells that have, allowed for some maybe water to collect in some of the poor drainage areas you might see a few puddles or standing water areas and poor drainage areas, sides of the road. So a little slick. And as Marta mentioned, stay alert to leaves that may be down on the ground as well. While we're not looking at any more heavy rain, some of this moderate rain leaving the roads wet, and where you have rain that falls on top of leaves that have been blown down by some of the winds overnight or whenever, you may have some even slicker conditions out there. We really want everybody to be very careful. Middle Peninsula, northern neck, seeing the wet weather as well. Showers starting to wind down for the eastern shore. We're not quite done yet. We'll still see some light showers kind of off and on, and that extends up into Maryland and Delaware as well, the light activity. But the reason for all of this, the coastal area of low pressure, the coastal low, it is moving out and things will be improving quite a bit. So we have that to look forward to. All right, we're going to turn our attention back down to Jamaica. It's been almost 1 week since Melissa tore across the Caribbean, and the system first made landfall in Jamaica, of course, as a Cat 5 storm last Tuesday. Remember, we talked about this last week at 892 millibars. It was the strongest or lowest pressure with a hurricane at landfall on record in the Atlantic Basin. It tied the 1935 storm that hit on Labor Day, the Florida Keys. So this was an incredibly powerful storm when it moved across Jamaica last Tuesday. It went on to hit Cuba and then eventually the Bahamas as well. Jamaican officials say at least 28 people were killed, and that number is expected to keep climbing as we're still learning the extent of the damage on the island. Right now, members of Virginia Task Force 1 from Fairfax County are on the ground helping with search and recovery efforts. They're based in Kingston, and they're working their way west.
It's very logistically difficult to get around this island on the western part of the island. We're based out of Kingston right now. We're trying to push west to establish a forward base of operations in the more disaster-stricken areas. But our crews are going out via air and via road, and there are certainly challenges in navigating with roads washed out, debris across roads, large debris piles, power lines down, trees over the roads. It's really difficult to move around. Yeah, at this point in the response effort, a lot of it is getting down to these communities and figuring out what's needed. So we're right now still in assessment mode, trying to get out there. And when we land in a community, we're met by an overwhelming number of locals that are incredibly happy to see us. And so we're meeting with them and saying, are there immediate medical needs? Is there anybody that was injured during the hurricane that needs to be medevaced out? And so we go to these areas and talk to these people to try and figure out those needs, as well as, are there clinics that are open that need fuel and how quickly they need fuel. And so we're reporting that data back in near real time back to the Jamaican authorities in order to make sure that this is a coordinated response.
I think about the members of the task force down there. You see them with the heavy gear and the long apparel. Those can be difficult conditions to work in because it's still quite hot and humid down there in Jamaica. Now, I mentioned this was the most powerful storm on record at landfall with 892 millibars. The previous strongest storm to hit Jamaica directly was Gilbert back in 1988. That one came across the island this way. Melissa came up through the southwest part of Jamaica and then made that run towards eastern Cuba. Now, many people there remain without power, and obviously communications, all of their infrastructure has really been rocked by Melissa. So we'll continue to look for more information and get it, and then pass that along as soon as we get more from the folks down there helping with recovery. Now, we're going to take a look at the hurricane basin here in the Atlantic, and things are quiet right now in the Gulf. Along the East Coast, you might be wondering, well, we're dealing with some wet weather right now. This is not a tropical system. We do have an area of low pressure that is just offshore here, and this is moving along, producing some rain, but it is not a tropical system. We've got some convection here north of the Turks and Caicos, but no threat to us. We're still watching things in the southern part of the Caribbean. As we look out over the coming week, the Hurricane Center does not anticipate any tropical development over the next 7 days. I will say there are a couple areas that we'll watch out, 5 to 11 days, or I should say November 5th through the 11th, once you go beyond just the coming week. you know, there's some areas that'll need to be monitored, the western part of the Caribbean there. And then beyond that, from the 12th through the 18th, maybe a little bit more through the central Caribbean. We'll also want to keep an eye to things. This is just kind of an area that could potentially see some development, but there is nothing imminent. It's just that that would be an area that might be a little more favorable if something were to try to develop. And we're talking, you know, outlooks here for a week to 2 weeks out through the 18th of November. So at this point, nothing to worry about in the Atlantic expected over the next 7 days. That is certainly good news. So here we are, Melissa, the last name that we've used so far. If there is another name system, the next name is Nestor. And as you can see with that activity, we've made it through October now, and we're into early November. Activity will be less and less here in the Atlantic. Over in the Pacific, just to let you know, while there are a few clusters, there is no tropical development expected on that side either. So things really finally starting to quiet down, and that is a blessing. All right, things much more active, not in terms of tropical activity, but we got to talk about an earthquake over here in Afghanistan. And this is a very sad situation. You can see this earthquake with a depth of 17 miles, 6.3 on the scale. The death toll there in Afghanistan is rising after this earthquake shook the northern part of the country. Again, 6.3 magnitude quake hit early this morning, killing at least 19 people and injuring more than 300 others. The earthquake was even felt in neighboring countries like Tajikistan and Uzbekistan, as well as Turkmenistan. Now, this is the second major earthquake to hit Afghanistan this year. In August, more than 2,200 people were killed after a 6.4 magnitude quake hit the eastern part of the country. Terrible situation there. Obviously, we'll continue to keep you updated. And again, this is in the northern section of Afghanistan. All right, we're going to take a short break. And you know what? November is here. We've got cooler weather in store. We're going to talk about indoor heating and impacts on the climate. And I've got your election day outlook. That's coming up in a couple of minutes. Welcome back to the Weather Desk. I'm meteorologist Craig Moeller. Take a look at the average temperatures for the month of November. This is for Norfolk, Virginia, and Hampton Roads. We start off the month with temperatures in the mid to upper 60s. By the middle part of the month, November 15th, we're down to 62 for a high, and 58 is an average high by the end of the month. So clearly, temperatures are trending down, and it only gets colder December into January. So now that we're headed into the colder months of the year, you may already be turning your heat on. But not all heating systems are equal, especially when it comes to the impact on our planet. ABC's chief climate correspondent, Ginger Z, has more.
As winter rolls in and temperatures begin to cool off, many Americans are starting to think about how to stay warm. But keeping our homes warm comes at a cost for both our wallets and the planet. HVAC systems are one of the largest sources of emissions. Founder and CEO of Rewiring America, Ari Matusiak, says the next time you're in the market for heating and cooling, switching to heat pumps is a great way to effectively and efficiently keep warm and at a lower cost.
Heat pumps are 2 to 3 times more efficient than the machines that they replace.
A heat pump is an electric home appliance that replaces both your heating and cooling systems. Unlike your normal temperature control, heat pumps move hot air from one place to another instead of using energy to cool or generate heat.
When you switch to a heat pump, what ends up happening is you're using a lot less electricity than you otherwise would be using.
Matusiak says the average home can save about $1,200 a year on heating after switching to heat pumps. There are different types of heat pumps, and learning which is best for your home can help you stay at the right temperature all year long. In the meantime, sealing up leaks and adding insulation to your attic can help make current heating systems more effective. With this Climate Minute, I'm Ginger Z.
All right, we're going to turn our attention from the climate back to our Election Day forecast. And what we're going to talk about right now across Hampton Roads, a great day to get out and vote. We've got big elections going on here in the Commonwealth, several elections, including the governor's race. There's a lot, and folks are going to be turning out to the polls early in the morning near the coast. We're going to see temperatures in the upper 40s. It will be cooler inland across southeast Virginia, so out towards, say, I-95 and some of our inland areas, low 40s. If you're going out early before work to vote, you want to have a jacket with you. You'll need it. As we go through the afternoon, it's going to be slightly below average temperatures into the low 60s, but you can see plenty of sunshine, nothing to restrict your access as far as getting out to the polls. You don't have to worry about bad weather or windy weather or anything too crazy going on. It looks like it's going to be a beautiful day for the election. That's here in Hampton Roads. There are other big elections going on. In New York City, they're going to elect the mayor. New Jersey's got some big elections, as well as things going on out in California. There's a lot going on in the middle part of the country, numerous mayoral races and special elections. So let's take a look coast to coast at what's going on. Again, generally for the East Coast, things looking pretty good. A little breezy up in Boston for Election Day. 55 there, 59 in New York City, 70 in Atlanta. The Big Easy looking good, 74 with sunshine in the central U.S. Chicago at 61, 70 in St. Louis, 73 in Little Rock. We have temperatures upper 70s to near 80 from Dallas down to Houston. Oklahoma City also upper 70s, looking good for Omaha and Minneapolis. I believe Minneapolis has a mayoral race as well. San Francisco, 66, partly cloudy. Northern California, some wet weather up that way. So we'll see how voter turnout goes with some of those heavier rains potentially for northern parts of California. L.A. looking good. Vegas, no problems. Phoenix, Salt Lake City, all good. Seattle, partly cloudy and mid-50s. That's your Election Day outlook. As we take a look at what's happening right now, we've got some areas with some unsettled weather. We'll come back to Hampton Roads in a moment. You'll notice there is that area of low pressure just offshore. That is going to move out. We do have another front that's coming through the eastern Great Lakes region, some wet weather there, and some unsettled weather here for the Northwest as well. There's really no severe weather outlook across the country. Right now from the Storm Prediction Center, nobody is really identified as an area where you have to to worry about severe weather, and really excessive rainfall isn't expected to be a problem either. I was looking at kind of flood outlooks and severe weather outlooks, not really dealing with too much. Lake Huron seeing some light showers, Lake Erie, most of the rain up into Canada. As you can see, that is pretty much cleared Michigan and Superior at this point. Looking out west, some snow flying, and I was asking our producers, hey, do we have any snow from any of the mountains yet? Love to start this time of year sharing with you some of the looks at wintry weather out west over the Rockies and the Cascades, the Olympias. We find some of these snowfalls a little earlier, and we're getting a little bit of that across Oregon and Washington State, northern sections of Idaho, and up into Montana. Such beautiful country up there in the Rockies here in Montana and western Montana. Absolutely gorgeous. We're going to bring it back here to the mid-Atlantic. As I mentioned, we do have the unsettled weather and really showers Delaware back into Maryland, our eastern shore here in Virginia, southeast Virginia. The rain is winding down. The heavier rain that we saw earlier this morning is pretty much pulled off to the northeast. That is a trend that will continue. A few lingering showers may hang around a little bit later through the morning. But as we go past midday, things will start to dry out. You might see a few showers up around Jersey or even up towards Cape Cod. You might see a few showers kind of wrapping back as that low moves off to the northeast. But right now, this is how things are shaping up, and we are seeing the improvements across the area. The activity that's still across parts of North Carolina, fairly light right now, light showers for the most part, Suffolk up into Isle of Wight and across the peninsula from Newport News back through York County. We're looking at light showers for the most part. Gloucester, Matthews seeing some as well, the heavier stuff. And there were a few lightning strikes earlier this morning, detected mainly offshore. What's falling right now, just rain showers across the area. Now, it has been a little breezy. We're not seeing a lot in terms of the wind gusts, but we've seen a few higher gusts down here, like Duck Pier with a gust of 30 miles per hour. We've seen a gust of 24 around Elizabeth City. Most of the area, the winds haven't been a big problem. And as I mentioned, we haven't really had to worry too much about the tides or anything like that. I did check the tide gauges and some of the modeling on our local waters just to see if we were going to get anything resulting from the northeast winds. But it looks like this is going to be progressive enough that we don't really see any prolonged northeast wind that's going to set up a big push of water into the lower part of the bay. We should be good. At this point, the model's not even suggesting nuisance tidal flooding, so that's good news. As you can see, the rain pulls away, and skies are going to clear through the afternoon. Overnight tonight, clear skies, beautiful weather upcoming. I do think the morning low temperatures, as I mentioned, low 40s out away from the coast, upper 40s near the coast, low 50s down around Kill Devil Hills. That's early tomorrow. Through the day on Tuesday, plenty of sunshine, highs in the low 60s. Wednesday, we're going to see more sunshine. The temperatures will be warming a little bit. And then we'll see another push of cooler weather on Thursday before another warm up into the weekend. Visibility is fine. Now that we're seeing the showers kind of tapering off, we were reduced down around 3-4 miles in some areas. Elizabeth City still with that reduction, but most areas actually seeing more like 8 to 10 miles visibility. At the ocean front, some rough surf there, and we do have a high threat of rip currents. The Thompson Creek Window Company Skyview showing you the wave action, and we do have the northeast winds, northeast winds. As we check in at the airport, those winds 14 miles per hour, and there's that high threat of rip currents from Virginia Beach up around Fort Story, Cape Henry, all the way down through the Oregon Inlet. We do have that higher threat, so stay mindful of that. Not that a lot of folks are out there swimming or enjoying the beach, but we do have that high threat of rip currents. Out on the water, small craft advisories for the bay and for the ocean. You can see it's going to be a little rough out there. North winds 15 to 20 knots, gusting to 25. The waves 2 to 3 feet in the lower part of the bay. The seas, though, east of Virginia Beach, a little bit rougher, 3 to 6 feet. We've got a low tide coming at 1 o'clock. We came through high tide this morning at 6:35. All right, let's talk about the forecast then for today. Highs are going to reach the low 60s, so not much warmer than what we're seeing right now. Right now we're in the upper 50s. We do have the showers still for the next probably hour and a half or so. That'll wind down after, say, 11:30 or noon. Things will start to clear out. You'll slowly see some breaks in the clouds and then more sunshine before sunset. The sunset today at 5:05. Ever since daylight saving time ended, now we say so long to the sunshine earlier and earlier into the afternoon. So disheartening. I do love our evenings here with the sunshine. Well, we're going to find out to the south, the showers winding down as well. Temperatures low 60s for northeast North Carolina. Tonight's low down in the upper 40s near the coast, low 40s inland. Clear skies. It will be much cooler. This morning we were in the mid to upper 50s. It will be a cooler morning tomorrow again for your election day. We're going to see the highs slightly below average, plenty of sunshine. You take a look at the 7-day forecast, and the temperatures are going to be warmer, as I mentioned, on Wednesday. Then we'll step it back a little bit on Thursday, back into the low 60s, but sunny tomorrow, Wednesday and Thursday. For Friday, mostly sunny. Into the weekend, the model's a little split. I don't think we're going to see much on Saturday. Low risk, only 20% for a stray shower or two, and that should mainly be off to the north. Most of the models were keeping us dry on Saturday. But into Sunday, a few isolated showers later in the day. That is a possibility. And I'd really encourage you to continue to check back with 13 News Now for updates, as things can change over the coming days, and we'll get a clearer and clearer picture of what's happening this weekend, especially later Sunday. Behind that front that comes through late Sunday, another push of cold air. We're looking at mid-50s on Monday and highs in the low 50s for Tuesday. So that'll be kind of a smack in the face after getting up to 70. You're going to go, wow, what happened? It got really chilly again. 'Tis the season, right? We're into November, and we're transitioning now to the cooler weather. Want to remind you, you can always be in touch with our forecast when you download the 13 News Now mobile app. Great resource for you. You have access to the radars. You get news updates, traffic updates, and, of course, all the weather updates with you on the go wherever you are. Just scan that QR code, and you will have access to the 13 News Now app. I want to thank you for joining us here on the Weather Desk. Again, I'm meteorologist Craig Moeller. Tell your friends about us here, 13 News Now Plus. We also do a lot out on YouTube. Hope to see you next time from the Weather Desk.